This video is going to show you Solar Flawless Prophecy during the Season of the Witch. For those who just want to see that and skip to the timestamps, over that I can show you the builds, etc. So the reason for this video is because the sandbox has substantially changed this season as opposed to other seasons, and what solo players do in endgame for content creation. That's the key word for content creation. You're not just playing in your basement. No, you're playing and you're making content on the game, which is two different things. You rerun old content with the new sandbox updates to keep the content flowing over seasons. And I've done this over seasons upon seasons upon seasons because we just flat out don't get enough of the game, of D2. We don't get enough content regarding D2. So this is how we sort of counter the drip feed content is because you've got to fill gaps. It's all about, so now as a content creator, I've got to fill the back end of seasons, right, with content, which seasons ago I used to be really good at that. Nowadays I know how to do it and what to do, but I'm less motivated to do it, and I don't care as much as I used to, if I'm being honest. But I'm just letting you know that's how solo players in endgame, when they're making content, that's how they go about sustaining content for years, as opposed to only doing it for a few months or something. But I know the Sparrow engine launched this. Well, there was an extra puzzle this week or whatever. The thing for me, from my perspective, the Sparrow engine's cool and whatnot, but it's not good for content because outside of the day one experience, there's no point for me to upload a video on the puzzle because there's hundreds of puzzle guides on YouTube telling you how to do the Sparrow engine. So what's the point in me giving you a puzzle for a guide for it, right? It's pointless. So in my mind, there's still nothing to do for content. So that's where I'm saying we rerun all content with the new sandbox updates, this is exactly what this video is. It's a Solar Flawless Prophecy with the Strand Titan melee build. So the Solar Flawless loot that you get via this is of 10 Suns and exotic Sparrow, as follows. You have the Solar Flawless Emblem, Prophetic Visionary, which is one of the best emblems in the game. And then you've got the exotic Ghost Shell, Hareball Shell, right? It's very nice. That's the loot you get. So before you even consider doing a Solar Flawless for this dungeon, if you never have, you need to, nowadays, sort out your loadouts in orbit before you even launch it. Because you need to understand that you want to knock surges on and off. For the first half of the dungeon, this doesn't matter too much, but the second half, it makes the run quicker and it makes it safer if you know how to turn surges on and off. So build 1 and 2, right? So build 1 and 2 revolves around tractor cannon debuff and a 1-2 punch shotgun. Any 1-2 punch shotgun will do you well. Just know that if you run a double shotty for this, you need a longer range weapon. You could even use a sniper if you really wanted to, but I don't see why you should. I just used a hand cannon Warden's Law, which meant that I could deal with the light and dark mechanic, because you need to take knights out from a range. The shotguns aren't going to do a good job of dealing with the light and dark mechanic in this dungeon, so you need a weapon to substitute that. A Warden's Law does a good job of doing that. So build 1 and 2 are identical, just the surges on the boots. You can see that, right? Then we get to the second half of the dungeon. This is where it's different. This is where Tractor Cannon's power goes down, which we'll talk about in the run, and then Witherhoard's power goes up, just because of the nature of how the final boss works and whatnot, and dealing with the light and dark mechanic in more difficult areas. It just makes sense that Witherhoard's better than Tractor, in my opinion, for the final stretch of the dungeon, because you can debuff anyways, which isn't as strong as Tractor Cannon debuff, but you can debuff anyways with Rapid Fire Ranger. So the builds are the same, build 3 and 4, Arc Fusion, Stormchaser, but just the surges are on, which we'll switch to, and you'll see that demonstrated in the run. These mods are what you want on. So you want Rapid Fire Ranger and Elemental Munitions, which I'll talk about in the run. Elemental Munitions is going to be a huge factor for you for ammo, because ammo is different now in the game to what it used to be. And obviously our exotic armor choice is Synthoceps. There's a couple of mods on our armor to help us get our grapple back and stuff like that. And obviously we've got our melee covered. But that is all the builds that I use for this. So for sections of this Solar Flawless run, I will speed up the footage just for editing purposes, just to make it easier for me to edit and just for you to what's the critical parts. Nothing will be sped up that's important, only unimportant stuff or stuff that is really self-explanatory. This first encounter, if you've never done it though, I suppose you wouldn't know what you're doing, and that's why I'll just tell you right now what the light and dark mechanic is. So on your screen you will see there's a light or dark aura, which is kind of hard to make out sometimes. I recommend your brightness, don't have your brightness too high. But essentially, where you kill the knight, depending on what aura is on your screen, will give you the light or dark mechanic, which is actually a genius mechanic in my opinion. At 5 motes, you then get a bigger mote that you dunk. Really straightforward. What's not straightforward to newer players is how to kill these knights effectively. The ones that, like, some rooms are harder than others for dark or light, and knowing that tactic will make this either really difficult or easy. Now, the first boss fight, obviously we're using tractor cannon, 1-2 punch shotgun with a Strand melee build, as I said at the start of the video. But for the first boss fight, it's really straightforward where the dark and light is. If your screen bugs out, so there's a bug right now with Prophecy, it's been in the bug years. If you can't tell where the dark or where the shadows or the light is, go in your menu, right, and then pop back out of the menu. It'll fix the lighting. There's a lighting bug, a visual bug. It doesn't happen here. It generally happens later on, especially at the final boss and stuff, but not so much here. That's what I've found to be the case. So here what we're doing is really just, we try to get a double dunk there for the dark. So we went for dark first. I'll tell you in a minute if I got double dunk. I'm not sure if I did or not. I think I did. So how the double dunk works, which is also a bug and shouldn't be a thing, you need to jump high enough and dunk in between the 2 pillars. This will then register double dunk. So I went for the double light, but I didn't double dunk for the light, because obviously there's 2 dark, 2 light. I didn't double dunk on the light one, more because I wanted to get my setup going a little bit. That was the only reason, and that would only save you 30-40 seconds or whatever. It doesn't really matter either or. Gives me time to gather my thoughts, switch my load out to build 2 for all that stuff. We'll get our final dunk, which doesn't matter which pillar you save to last. We'll tractor first, then we'll get our melees going. I missed a melee, which is a shame because it does so much damage, but there's the silence here, so we'll tractor then super. So I've done as much damage to what the O, and then my super will actually carry me all the way to the boss being killed, just about anyways. At least that was a little scrappy, honestly, damage on that, but I'm a little rusty at the game at the minute, but that was fine. You can see I just melted the boss in no time. But the key thing there to take away from that damage is, do your melee shotgun punches at the start to as much as you can. When you get an ad spawn of goblins, because they make the boss immune, that's when you go in with your super, because your super will penetrate immunity. Remember, supers penetrate tethers, enemy tethers, that is, which that's what goblins do. So the fact that your super will penetrate that, it means that you're supering at the difficult section. Don't super right away, because then you're going to have the boss at a third or maybe 20%. A goblin will tether the boss, and then you'll have to seek out the goblin, kill the goblin, and all that stuff. And then the boss might get tethered again. Not that it's too much of a problem, because you've got 50 seconds to kill that first boss, by the way. That's a 50-second damage window. So you're still going to do it anyways, regardless. So that's another reason why I went with Strand Titan to showcase Strand Titan off, because well, obviously it's excelling with everything in the game right now, especially Grandmaster content and raids and what have you. So it's doing everything in the game right now with Strand Titan. I'll speed up the Wasteland footage. So this is just you destroying blights. You need to understand the Tola mechanic, which I'll explain more when we get to the next encounter if you don't know how that works. Tractor cannon you can debuff. You can actually 1 or 2 shot them sometimes. Sometimes it acts a little weird and you get immune numbers on them, but you have debuffed the blights. So you can debuff blights and then shotgun them. Or I could switch to Bastion. Bastion will 1-shot them, but that's also something that I couldn't be bothered to get Bastion out the vault even and do all that, because Bastion one-shots blights. Fawn does damage to blights outside of them. Black Talon one-shots blights super quick. There's all these different exotics, but in the end, none of that matters. Just use tractor shotgunning. It's fine. Doesn't matter. You're not speedrunning this. You're not going on speedrun.com, are you? And uploading your run. I highly doubt somebody watching this is, but if you are, let me know. If you're somebody who uploads to speedrun.com and you watch my content, I want to know who you are, and yeah, leave a comment. But I highly doubt there is anybody that does. So what the information I've just said to you, you know, about the speedrun strats and stuff, that matters to those people who are going for world record times. But for the rest of you, 99% of you, it doesn't matter. It's more of a hindrance to actually swap to it. Just leave your tractor cannon on, whatever. You know, just do what you want. It's really easy. You're gonna stay alive. Anyways, with this encounter, these are the steps that you want to do for each room. Look up, establish where the Toland orb is. If you don't know, that white orb on the ceiling, on the wall, sorry, was Toland. Toland shows you where to go. The light or dark aura below him will establish which mode you need. You then kill the snipers. This is where Stormchaser comes in, so you should have that readied. Don't have Witherhoard in your hands. Have your long-range weapon readied to immediately kill both snipers. The quicker that your routine is with the cube room, the quicker you are with it, the easier it is. Having said that, it's easy anyways with Strand Titan Banner of War because of constant health regen when you're getting your melee kills and stuff. So it's not a problem anyways, even if you do mess up. So this is really easy Prophecy, which a long time ago, when it launched, it was nowhere near to this difficulty. It was, I would say, it was probably 4 times harder than what it is right now. Just because of the sandbox that we're in now compared to what we had then. I mean, you think about it back then, what did we have? The best class for Prophecy, when Prophecy came out, was a Devour Warlock. Because you couldn't get Devour on Night Stalker or Void Titan. And that's really the best thing that you had. I mean, Hammers was Hammers. I mean, I remember seeing a Hammer run, OG Hammer run, Solar Titan when it launched, but that was very difficult. And there was the Bubble Titan runs and stuff. But yeah, Voidwalker was king for this. But nowadays, I think every class has something really important for Prophecy, because Prophecy, it goes back to this, what I've mentioned in the past. All the stuff that we've got now in the game is built for the new stuff that you get. Like Duality, not so much Root and Nightmares, I suppose, but, you know, all your newest content, your ad-dense stuff. Whereas Prophecy was ad-dense, it was considered ad-dense. I mean, it is, it's got infinite ads. But it's got nowhere near the same difficulty as, say, Ghost of the Deep, the dungeon. So it's a stark contrast of, this is what the game used to be, but the new stuff just demolishes the old content. And you're seeing that in this run. I mean, some people still struggle with Prophecy. I think it's a timing thing. Like I said, it's all about routine. Establish, where is Toland? Right, you've established that. Do you need light or dark? This is where Witherhoard comes in as well. You can prep knights, right, and then just stand where you need to be. One Witherhoard shot will actually kill a knight, but just know that whilst you're waiting for Witherhoard, you're going to get sniped and stuff. So if you haven't got Banner of War procced, make sure you get it procced in the meantime while you're waiting. Maybe add a fusion rifle shot if you want. But really, that's all there is to it. So the seasonal mod that gives you ammo when you get a Tangle kill, or any orb kill that for that matter, we're going to be using that quite a lot. So you can see that my fill on heavy right now is decent. And I'm spamming it on the snipers every room. Sometimes on a night, if I see that it's going to be an issue that I didn't use it, then I would use it. I think this is a moment where I do. So, like, there's no point using Stormchaser there, but there is now, because this knight's been a nuisance. He's at a distance, and I need dark. So, if this is your first time ever, trying to attempt Soul Flawless Prophecy, you're not going to know all the ins and outs of light and dark and knowing where to be, when to be. Because that's what's the unique thing about this dungeon, is that it's masterfully made, because every time you play it, it's a little bit different. Because of each room being so unique, with where the shadows are. And stuff like that. So it's really unique that way, but your experience will go up the more you play it. And I recommend you don't play in a fire team too much, because that just dilutes the whole thing, and then you feel as though the dungeon's quite easy, which it is. I mean, it's easy solo as well, but it's even easier in a fire team. So refrain yourself from doing that, especially if there's any weapons you want from here, which I don't see there's much incentive, but there is some cool weapons you can get from this dungeon, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, try not to play in a fire team, get your solo experience up. But if you're a player that just wants to solo flawless once, then I think you're a different player to who I am. No offense, because how many times have I solo flawless Prophecy? How many times have I solo flawless this dungeon or that dungeon or this mission or whatever? It's because I make content on the game, and that's what I was on about before. There's a stark contrast between playing it in your basement on your own or with your mates, and then actually playing the game to make content on, are two different things. Especially how niche I am as well with the solo aspect of it, because solo content is niche. It's very difficult for solo players to survive these days, because what can we make content on really? Alright, there's a dungeon coming out, alright, but that's just one particular season. We got the Exotic Rotator playlist, that's fell flat. Not many people's interested in it. Alright, then what? Or well, then you've got your Root of Nightmares solo challenges. Yeah, I know, but that's very niche as well, and not many people. How many people really want that? So you can see where I'm going with it. Whereas if you're a news broadcaster like Ron Burgundy of Anchorman, like everybody else is, reporting the news on misery of people getting sacked and stuff, and them getting monetized for that content to show you the news. Alright, well, they're going to make a lot of cash. They're going to get a lot of views. I ain't getting none of that, because I chose not to make a video on people getting sacked, really, per se. I did make a video saying the game hasn't innovated, which is true, and I still believe that, and I believe that since Shadowkeep. That's just how I feel about the game. I've twined and complained about the game ages before Bungie ever sacked people. So my opinion still stands from what I've always believed, that the game's diluted, they haven't innovated enough, but they have at times, and that's what I'm saying. It's difficult for solo players to survive, which is why you're seeing less and less content revolving around solo players in general, just because of what I've mentioned, the facts. I had the visual bug. Did you see it just a couple of seconds ago? I had the visual bug when in my loadout. I obviously made sure Banner of War was procced, and then exited. So with the final boss, obviously it's learning the mechanics from what you've saw, the light and dark. But the difference is you've got 3 bosses, because Kell echoes 3 times in each corner. So there's a bit of a combat experience with it, but Strand Titan makes short work of it. The more aggressive you play, the easier it is. So I'm literally just checking what I need. So if it was 2 light, 1 dark, or whatever it might be, establish first what you need. Left hand side of the map's more dark based, right hand side of the map's more light based. And if you're on a side that isn't favourable to you, Witherhoard that night, then stand in the shadows or in the light or wherever it might be. That's what's so strong about Witherhoard. Remember, Witherhoard, in my opinion, was probably created for this dungeon, because when Witherhoard came out, this dungeon did, and it's sort of a taken weapon. It's sort of a perfect weapon for this dungeon, in my opinion, and it always was. Like when the dungeon came out, the meta was Anarchy with Mountaintop, but people slept on Witherhoard back then. Obviously they don't now, because that meta is well established, but back then they really did sleep on it, because everyone was Anarchy. But I was like, no, hang on a sec, you've got your Witherhoard. If you combine that with a heavy GL, it's actually decent. That was back then, bear in mind. So we switched to surges. Now my surges are now consuming. So this is how DPS works. This is how I do it. I get my debuffs with Stormchaser. Then I get a Witherhoard shot, a couple of fusion rifle shots. After the second teleport, you then get the snipers. So we'll go in for a melee kill. We'll try and get some more Witherhoard shots. Use the fusion on ads. Don't worry about it, because you're not going to spam your entire fusion rifle shots on the boss. But you want to keep your Witherhoard shots. You want to keep reinitializing the damage from Witherhoard, because that's going to allow you to do damage whilst you're on the move killing snipers. Always play ahead of the game. Obviously you've got the Dark Entropy debuff, which when you get to stack times 10 you then die. But the way I do it is, you see so many people, they play behind the boss rather than ahead, and this is, I've established this gameplay loop ever since the dungeon came out. Always play ahead. Now look, I'm on Dark Entropy times 4. It's going to go up times 5. So I'm close to wiping, but I'm actually not. Because I know that to stand a little close on this final plate, my Dark Entropy goes down. And I've debuffed boss whilst Witherhoard's attached. So we're good. We're close to a half HP, which the way I do this is built so that you, Solo 2-phase, will pop super after teleport, because this means he won't port us whilst I'm in my super, or he's less likely to. It's important that you still have that debuff going though, because your super is going to do that much more damage, and we'll get him down to nearly the E. Don't go in the portal right away, because there's also another damage bug which was shipped with the dungeon when it launched, where you do more damage when you stay in here. Look at his HP bar. That's fine, let it tick away. But the reason for that is because if there's any errors or mistakes, or I get ported on phase 2, then there's a safety net there. Because I've just showed you that I've done 55-60% HP, so it stands to reason on phase 2 I should easily kill him. However, if I get ported, I make a mistake, then I lose damage. That's 10-15% safety net of damage may allow me to still 2-phase. Do you get it? So try and do as much damage on phase 1 as possible without dying, of course, and doing the correct moves that I showed you. Play ahead of the boss, Witherhoard correctly, kill the snipers with your melee. You may as well don't use the melee on the boss, because there's no benefit to that, because he'll just stomp you. That is a different playstyle and would revolve around Tractor Cannon, which you can do it that way in 2-phase with Tractor and a 1-2 punch shotgun, but it's more of a technical solo, and I don't think most people have it in them to do it that way, because it would be a bit, there's more RNG of importing you and knocking you off map. And whenever something's that inconsistent for people, I won't make a guide in that sense, because the whole run is based around somebody copying me at home exactly, so that they get it done. And this is me showing you how to get it done if you've never done it. So for example, this room, now it's RNG which room you get, but this room, the light's difficult, so I understand that. So I stand on the bridge area, Witherhoard the knights, and stand on the bridge, wait for knights to die, whilst maintaining my banner of war, so I'm getting my health regen, so I can out tank the damage whilst knights die. So in this room, if you do get it, light's the difficult one, but it isn't that difficult when you know. And I know that most of it's dark, so that I need to stand up top. It stands to reason, obviously. I need light as well, again, so we'll do the same thing. This is where it's going to be difficult-ish for ammo. This is what I'm on about. The elemental munitions is going to help you out massively. So, elemental munitions, every time you get a kill with a tangle, you'll get heavy and special. Sometimes it's just special. It's very inconsistent. It's more like ammo finder bricks that you get, if I'm being honest. Plus you're running double special, which they nerf double special heavy, but with elemental munitions it allows you to run double special to what it kind of used to be like. Kind of. Not as good as what it used to be like, but kind of. Don't manipulate my words. So you can see, like, if I look at my heavy there, so I'm max heavy. That's really good. So I spammed heavy on phase 1 as well. But what I'm worried about right now is, well, not worried, but I'm assessing my ammo. 6 Witherhoard shots is nowhere near enough. Well, it's close. I would say 10 shots is what I want. That accounts for any missed shots and stuff. So, yeah, I want at least 10. Fuse rifle ammo is not that important. I mean, that's enough. But max heavy is a big win. And obviously the boss I need to do less damage than what I did on phase 1 anyways. So as long as there's no mistakes, we're good to do an easy solo 2 phase here. So same again, I'll repeat what we said. We switch to surges. Armor charges are proccing on the left hand side. We debuff from a distance. Remember, it's 25 meters. So you've got to account for the debuff. So we debuff first, then Witherhoard, then some fusion rifle shots. We'll wait for teleport. Sometimes I re-Witherhoard before port, but I didn't this time. We'll get a tangle kill there. We didn't actually get ammo. That was unfortunate, but that's fine. I'm playing a little bit less casual this time, but we'll Witherhoard then kill the snipers. I know the timing of the ports. That's the biggest thing. If you ever get ported, you lose so much damage. That part I was unsure of, so we jump to the next platform. We'll try and get a debuff here. I think I do end up getting debuff, which that's what's so good about Stormchaser. I'll get it in a minute, because it procs rapid fire ranger off one burst, because each individual burst is counted as a shot, whereas precision frames don't do this. I haven't got the boss debuffed here. We're gonna grapple over to the snipers, which that was my plan. So that quickly takes them all out of there, and it gets us further away to debuff boss. So my damage is slightly worse than phase 1, but it's more than comfortable of killing him anyways, which I knew that, you know, going into phase 2. We're going to super for the final section, but the boss is literally dead there. But this is just showing you an easy solo 2 phase, especially with rapid fire ranger Stormchaser and then on a Strand Titan. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.